This past summer I used my iPhone for basically two things. One, for navigation while I was riding, and also to control my drone when I was flying it. The problem I ran into though is when it got hot, the display would dim. So navigation wise, didn't have a clue where I was going. And for the drone, I had to use the return to home on the controller a couple times because I couldn't see where it was. I started seeing some reviews of the new Tripltek 8-inch tablet, and I really liked it, but it, I think, $795, it was pretty expensive. I'd love to have it for my drone, but that was just a little bit expensive, especially considering I don't do anything for money with my drone. I'd also, though, been looking for navigation units for my motorcycle, so I didn't have to rely on the iPhone screen, which tended to dim when it got hot either. And I started thinking, well, if a navigation unit's $400 or $500 for a decent one, and then the only alternative controller for the drone is the DJI Pro controller, that's over $800 if you bought those separate. So I figured I'd pick up this tablet and use it as a not only a drone controller, but navigation for my motorcycle as well. What I really like about this tablet is it's a 1200 nit screen that doesn't dim when it gets hot, or just to reserve battery. If you manually set it to as bright as it can go, it'll stay there. It's really rugged as well, which means it's a little heavy, so I used a combination of the Tripltek clamp that they sell, as well as these Mavic clamps that have a quarter 20. One thing I did notice on the Tripltek clamps though is this little piece, this quarter 20 is knurled, and it would actually pull out, so I had to put some super glue in there to keep it nice and tight in there. So the Mavic clamps clamp onto the Unit 1 garage windshield. And since the tablet is pretty beefy, I'm using 2 of the clamps to make sure it holds tight. I'm gonna have to come up with something a little more elegant than what I have, but I didn't totally trust the clamps, the Tripltek clamps and the Mavic clamps, honestly, to hold. So I ended up actually tethering this to the windshield just in case something broke or popped off with heavy-duty hiking shoelace is what that is, actually. I'm definitely gonna have to come up with something a little more elegant than that, for sure. After I had it mounted, it's pretty sturdy on there, and again, I have that backup just in case something was to break, so I was ready to actually test it. It does sit a little low, so I actually have to bend down to see everything on the screen, so whatever I come up with, it's going to have to elevate them a little bit. So I figured as a good test, I'd head out to Julian, to one of my favorite places, the Julian Beer Company. The screen's definitely nice and bright and way bigger than an iPhone, obviously, so I really look forward to using this on trips, especially coming this summer, so I can really put the heat to the test. It's pretty cold out right now, so I'm not really testing the heat portion of it. And then I do have a USB-C connection installed from basically directly from my battery, so that I can actually power anything that's either USB-A or USB-C. I always stop at Harris to get the gas. The Indian casinos are really the lowest places that have gas. Everything in California other than these are pretty much above $5 a gallon. I think this place is still at $4.30 or $4.40. This is the week in between Christmas and New Year's, and Jillian was actually pretty packed, so I ended up stopping at another place just on the other side of town, which I hadn't been to before. On the drone side of things, I picked up this little mount from Original Dobo. I'll put a link in the description. It's a real minimal design, really well engineered, and it hooks to the Mavic controller. Really, like, surprisingly sturdy. Basically used this slightly longer than the original USB to Lightning, which is just a USB to USB-C for the Android tablet. Again, that minimum mount, real easy to install, real easy to hook on there, and I mean, you know, that thing's not falling off there at all. So I took the setup to my favorite place up on Palomar Mountain to just test things. One thing I noticed is with the Android tablet, or I don't know if it's a tablet or what, but using avoidance, you know, I'm telling it to avoid and not stop for objects, and for some reason it just wouldn't do that, so I had to turn off the avoidance system altogether in order to get this shot where it would just kind of barely miss the top of my motorcycle as it took off. But I found the tablet works really well. You know, there's no lag, and you know, the screen, like I said, the 1200 nits that doesn't dim is really bright, easy to see, works perfect. It was pretty much exactly what I was looking for. Here's a screen recording from the tablet flying the Air 2S. It looks all washed out because I record in the DJI D-Log, so on the screen, since it's not using a LUT or anything, it's going to look all washed out like that. But obviously the file itself, once I grade it, looks fine. To test the little Mini 2 that I have as well. Had to go through a couple things, you know, it needed firmware, and then also I had to pair it with the controller, so that took a little bit of time. Once I got all that sorted out though, worked fine. This is a screen recording. I actually forgot to hit record on the drone itself, so all I have is a screen recording from the Mini 2. Which you notice it doesn't look as flat as the Air 2S, because on the Mini 2 I just record in the normal color mode. I don't have cellular on the tablet yet, so I'm actually using my iPhone as a personal hotspot for the tablet to have any kind of a connection. It's connected to the drone, obviously, through the controller and its own. It does have GPS by itself, so that's all doing everything by itself.
Landing.
So far, I'm really happy with the way that this actually works for not only the navigation, but the drone as well. I'll definitely need to come up with a more elaborate way of connecting it to the motorcycle, but that shouldn't be a problem. If you want a real deep dive into the technical aspects of the tablet, there's way better reviews than this one on it. But again, for what I'll be using it for, I don't think the price was extreme at all.